This morning's scripture is from the book of Ruth, which comes in the Hebrew scriptures. This is the New Revised Standard Version. From chapter 2, verses 1 through 16. Now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a prominent rich man of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth, the Moabite, said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain behind someone in whose sight I may find favor." And Naomi said to Ruth, "Go, my daughter." So she went. Ruth came and gleaned in the field behind the reapers. As it happened, she came to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. And just then Boaz came from Bethlehem. He said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." They answered, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his young man, who was in charge of the reapers, "To whom does this young woman belong?" The young man who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers." So she came, and she has been on her feet from early this morning until now, without resting, even for a moment. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Now listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Keep your eyes on the field that is being reaped and follow behind them. I have ordered the young men not to bother you. If you get thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn." Then Ruth fell prostrate with her face to the ground and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your sight, that you should take notice of me when I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told me. How you left your father and mother and your native land, and came to a people that you did not know before. May the Lord reward you for your deeds, and may you have a full reward from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." Then Ruth said, "May I continue to find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, even though I am not one of your servants." At mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come here and eat some of this bread, and dip your morsel in the sour wine." So Ruth sat beside the reapers, and he heaped up for her some parched grain. She ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When Ruth got up to glean, Boaz instructed his young man, "Let her glean even among the standing sheaves, and do not reproach her. You must also pull out some handfuls for her from the bundles, and leave them for her to glean, and do not rebuke her."
If Ruth came today to the U.S. border, seeking a life for herself and her mother-in-law, she would be detained, separated from the one to whom she had pledged, "Where you go, I will go." And she would be deported if Ruth came today. But the setting in this story is of a people who knew differently. Leviticus is what they knew, which reads, "When an immigrant resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the immigrant. The immigrant who resides with you shall be to you as the native born among you. You shall love the immigrant as yourself, for you were immigrants in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." Deuteronomy is what they knew, which says, "When you harvest your grain and forget a sheaf back in the field, don't go back and get it. Leave it for the immigrant, the orphan, the widow, so that God, your God, will bless you in all your work. When you shake the olives off your trees, don't go back over the branches and strip them bare. What's left is for the immigrant, the orphan, and the widow. And when you cut the grapes in your vineyard, don't take every last grape. Leave a few for the immigrant, the orphan, and the widow. Don't ever forget that you were a slave in Egypt. I command you, do what I'm telling you." Ruth came to the land of her mother-in-law, Naomi, as an immigrant. And not just any immigrant, but a Moabite, a people who were hated because of their worship of other gods. But Ruth was accepted. Naomi knew the law from Deuteronomy that her people had a command from God to allow Ruth to glean from the field. When Ruth first meets Boaz, she is struck by how she's treated with hospitality. In verse 10, there's a pun that we miss in our English translations. She asks, "Why should you take notice of me when I am a foreigner?" But in Hebrew, foreigner is the same root word as take notice. So she's saying, "Why do you take notice of me when I am one who is not noticed?" Literally, you have noticed the unnoticed. And Boaz responds to Ruth, tells her why he took notice of her. "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me. How you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. May the Lord reward you for your deeds, and may you have a full reward from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." Boaz knew Ruth's story. He saw how she had clung to her mother-in-law and refused to abandon her. He saw what a sacrifice it was, that she had to leave all that was familiar to make that sacrifice, and that she did it for love. Boaz was changed by hearing Ruth's story. We are changed by hearing people's stories. Activist Sandra Maria Van Opstel wrote, "If we, as 21st century Christians, really want to know God, we must pay attention to immigrants, not for their conversion, but for ours. And there's something particularly poignant about economic immigration, traveling in search of food. It is so basic, so necessary, our need as humans for daily nourishment. And throughout history, the migration of humanity is based on the need for food. People packing up whatever possessions they could carry and setting out to look for a better life for their family. To find that basic essential of food. Ruth and Naomi's travels are prompted by food availability. Naomi and her husband Elimelech left Bethlehem, which ironically means house of bread, because they needed to search for food. They migrated to where they could be fed, in Moab. Their sons married Moabite women, Ruth and Orpah. Years later, the fathers and sons had died, and opportunity came to Naomi to return to where there was once again food, in Bethlehem. Upon arriving, they had to figure out how to get that food. Naomi knew that although it was not easy for a widow to survive, Hebrew law was on her side. She told her daughter-in-law that she had a right to glean in the fields. Immigrants who came to Seattle out of economic migration are suffering under rising prices. And food insecurity is twice as likely for immigrants and people of color. The gap in SNAP benefits has threatened food security for nearly 1 million people in our state. Community members, neighbors have come together to try and fill in the gap. I've been heartened, and I know many of you have been heartened, to hear stories of how local restaurants have pivoted in this moment. These are not corporate entities with tons of money, but these are the small, scrappy operations that know how to mobilize their communities using relationship building, partnerships, and social media. And I read about how some local restaurants have been inspired to give food away after hearing about a bagel shop called Toasted. Anybody ever been to a Toasted? All right. At their cafes in South Lake Union and University District, the community is told simply order what you want and then say, put it on my neighbor's tab. No questions are asked. This is the story of two young men in their early to mid-20s, Muslims, and children of immigrants who met in a business class at the University of Washington just a short time ago. Murat and Jafar. Murat's family came from Turkey, Jafar's from Iraq and Egypt. In 2017, Murat's family opened a restaurant in California. And at 17, Jafar opened his first cafe with loans and savings from working since the age of 14. Meeting in that first UW class, he and Murat became best friends and walked through empty commercial buildings and dreamed about what they could build together. Then came many delays and setbacks from the city, from contractor after contractor bailing, from a landlord lawsuit, and over $70,000 in damages from multiple break-ins before they even opened. They opened their first location of Toasted in July of 2024, not that long ago, and 2 more locations in the U District and Bellevue just months later. Now they're working to open their 4th location in Pioneer Square. And from the beginning, it was really important for these two to give bagels away. And they partnered with nonprofits to do just that, with their initial goal of giving away 1,000 bagels. They explain, we aren't just a cafe. We are children of immigrants who know what it means to fight for belonging. We donated over 10,000 bagels in 10 months because we felt hunger ourselves. We are not chasing trends, we are building something that lasts. And they want everyone who comes to their bagel shops to experience Middle Eastern hospitality. They want people to experience home, to be cared for. So when SNAP benefits ran out, or when they were about to run out, they put on their social media that they were going to give away a sandwich and drink to anyone losing their benefits, to anyone who needed a meal. And they committed to donating the first 100 meals themselves, and asked the community to step in after that. Well, they were shocked when in just 48 hours they raised over $35,000. As of today, they have given away 12,405 meals. I was so intrigued by Toasted's story, I had to experience and taste it for myself. So last Thursday, I decided to go to the South Lake Union location, and I thought I'd have lunch there and see if I could find out more about how this endeavor is going. So after I ordered my bagel sandwich, which was delicious, I asked if I could donate to the Neighbors Fund to be part of this, right? Well, the associate I talked to said, actually, we're not accepting any more donations because we've been given so much money. We don't need any more. Can you imagine? I don't know of any organization or feeding program that says, actually, we're good. Yeah. So my takeaway was to buy bagels at Toasted and then donate elsewhere, like the welcome table or the food bank. We don't often know the fruits of our love until later. Ruth couldn't have known that her decision to cling to her mother-in-law, it would mean she would become an ancestor of Jesus, the Messiah. Soon after she began gleaning in his fields, Ruth married Boaz. They became the great-grandparents of King David. Their family line went on to include Mary of Nazareth and her child who would bring hope to the world. We don't always know the fruits of our love until later. Sometimes we never know. Murat and Jafar will never know the true ripple effect of giving away thousands of bagel sandwiches, the impact that has on families, on other restaurants who are following suit. And have you and I taking a moment today to remember, not all is heavy this day. There are people out there in our city loving their neighbors. We can be inspired to do our bit and to inspire others to do theirs. At the end of today's reading, we hear Boaz say to the reapers, leave some plants untouched. It is not the leftovers being offered, but the main product. When we give food away, we are not to give from the back of the pantry, but from the front. The food we want to eat, not the food we've passed over. When we give money away, we are not to give from the bit we won't notice, but to give sacrificially, the amount that changes not just our wallet, but changes our hearts. It is a conversion, a heart of generosity to immigrants, especially to those who are hungry. There is an opportunity today, until 3 p.m. to bring pantry items for distribution at the Saturday welcome table meal. Or you can always bring your pantry items right to the neighbor. Or donate directly to the Westside Interfaith Network, which you can do online, and it helps them do more purchasing and to buy more gift cards for folks. The need is great. If Ruth came today, she would be detained at our border. Current policies don't allow her even a chance. But we know different. We know that people are just trying to survive. We know that they love fiercely. and are trying to do right by their families. They need to be fed. So let us love. For we don't always know the fruits of our love until later. Sometimes we never know. But love has the power to change us, to convert us. The need is great. If we wish to know God, we must listen to the stories, to pay attention to the struggle of immigrants, and to those who are hungry,